Okay, with the intro and housekeeping out of the way, let's start with part 2 of the landing page course with landing page foundations. In this section, I'll answer the age-old question, what is a landing page? And I'll also cover what I call the OAT formula, which is something you need to take into account before you even begin building your first page. Lastly, we'll look at my 7-question landing page framework, which is without a doubt one of the most important concepts you can learn from this entire masterclass. It's a whole new way of thinking about what goes into a landing page. So, what is a landing page? Rather than jump right into a definition, let me first share an analogy with you. Imagine you're at an airport, but you have no specific reason for being there. You don't have a flight to catch, and you're not picking someone up. You're just randomly in a busy airport all of a sudden. There are signs everywhere that call out for your attention. You can do some shopping, grab a bite to eat, watch the planes land, explore the lounges, get a last-minute plane ticket, or a dozen other things. There are lots and lots of options. You get the idea. Well, this is the kind of experience you have when you visit the typical website homepage. There's a lot that you can do and a lot of different things calling for your attention. Contact us, learn more, buy now, read more about us, follow us on social media, check out our blog. It can be overwhelming, especially if you're a first-time visitor to the site and you don't have a specific reason for your visit. Now, on the other hand, imagine you're at the airport again, but this time you're there to catch a flight. You've made it through security and you're walking down the jet bridge to get onto your plane. In other words, you're at the airport with one specific task that you want to accomplish, to get on your flight so you can get to wherever you need to go. This is similar to a landing page visit. Ideally, your visitors to your landing page are there with a specific purpose in mind, even if they don't know it yet. They're there to accomplish something, and your page is meant to help them do just that, to accomplish one clearly defined action. There are very few distractions on the page, and everything is meant to help them complete that task. Okay, on to some common definitions. Let's start with this definition from the landing page software company Unbounce. They say a landing page is a dedicated, campaign-specific web page that drives visitors to complete a single marketing goal or call to action. Not bad. Now let's see what their competitor Instapage has to say. They write, a landing page is a standalone web page disconnected from a website's navigation, created for the sole purpose of convincing a visitor to act, such as to sign up, buy, download, etc. And lastly, Leadpages says a landing page is a web page that is specifically designed to prompt visitors to take a single next action. So for the purposes of this course, let's say that a landing page is an independent, campaign-specific destination that persuades a member of a target audience to take one clearly defined action. There's a lot packed into that definition, so let's unpack each part real quick. Landing pages are independent. What this means is that they are independent from your website. Sure, you can build landing pages on your website if you want, but you can also build one that stands completely alone and is completely separate from your website. The key is that landing pages do not rely on your website to succeed. They can stand on their own. In fact, many successful brands don't even have traditional websites anymore. I know of several brands that only work with a collection of landing pages, and they're doing just fine. You don't have to be that drastic though, so don't go throwing out your website right away. But there's no reason not to still have a traditional website if you want one. Just don't think that you must have a website in order to build a landing page. You don't. Next, landing pages are campaign specific. This means that they are tied to specific marketing goals that you have. When I say campaign, I'm referring to the things like Google Ads campaigns or a Facebook ads campaign, or maybe an email marketing campaign. While it's most common for landing pages to be used with paid advertising campaigns like Google or Facebook, that's certainly not the only type of campaigns you can use. But the takeaway here is that your landing pages should be thought of as an extension of a campaign that has a goal. Next up, landing pages are built for a target audience. This means that your landing pages need to focus on one type of person who is in your ideal target audience. If you don't know who that person is, well, you need to do the research to figure this out before you build a landing page. I cannot stress this point enough. You need to know who you're trying to appeal to and what problems they're trying to solve before you build your landing page. One way to do this is to create what's called a customer avatar or a buyer's persona. These are documents you create that list out the demographics, psychographics, interests, problems, and more that a member of your target audience might be facing. If you don't do this work ahead of time, you'll end up with a landing page that is trying to appeal to everyone and therefore speaks to no one. And that's just not going to work. Lastly, landing pages should contain one clearly defined action that the visitor can take. This is critical and probably one of the most common mistakes I see with landing pages. It's that they try to do too much. They offer too many options to the visitor and thereby confuse and distract them. There's an interesting book and a TED Talk by Barry Schwartz called The Paradox of Choice, where he says, quote, "With so many options to choose from, people find it difficult to choose at all," unquote. So one cornerstone principle of a good landing page design is to limit choices and focus on one clearly defined action that you want your visitor to take. That's your call to action. And sure, while there are times where you might break this rule and have two calls to action, it's something you want to keep in mind at all times. So that sums up our definition of landing pages. Once again, a landing page is an independent, campaign-specific destination that persuades a member of a target audience to take one clearly defined action. That's worth writing down. Now, another question that comes up when defining landing pages is, how are they different from home pages? This is probably one of the most common questions I get asked. Well, here's a screenshot of a typical homepage and a landing page from the same company, Shopify, side by side. On the left is Shopify's homepage, and on the right is just one of Shopify's many landing pages. See how much longer the homepage is than the landing page? While this is not always the case, in general, since most landing pages focus on just one clearly defined action, they don't need to be as long or complex as a homepage. Furthermore, if we zoom in on just the above the fold portion of Shopify's homepage, we can see that there are 11 different things we can interact with or click on. And this is just above the fold. That's a lot of choices to make. But it makes sense for a homepage to have this many options because you don't know who your visitor is or what they want to do. So this homepage is pretty much asking the question, what do you want to do? On the other hand, if we look at the landing page example from Shopify, there's only one interaction point above the fold, and it's the main call to action to start a free trial. Do you see how focused this page is? Instead of asking the visitor, what do you want to do? This page is telling the visitor, you should do this. Start a free trial. It's answering a question. It's not asking a question. In other words, home pages ask questions while landing pages answer them. We'll come back to the topic of landing page questions and how exactly landing pages answer them later on. So stay tuned for that, but this is a really important concept that we will be covering. So we've covered a lot already. Let's summarize. First of all, landing pages are independent of your website. They are tied to specific campaign objectives. They're built with a target audience in mind. They should focus on one clearly defined action. And lastly, one of the main ways home pages and landing pages differ is that home pages ask questions like, what can I help you with? While landing pages answer very specific questions for the visitors. As we wrap up this video, let's check out some examples of different types of landing pages and see these principles in action. There are essentially three types of landing pages that we will cover in this course: click-through pages, lead capture pages, and sales pages. Let's go through each type. In this example of a click-through page from a popular landing page software company called Unbounce, they use the click-through example. The call to action is see how it works. And when you click on it, it directs you further down the page, where you can then click through to preview the landing page builder directly in their web app. So they're not asking you to fill out a form and they're not asking you to buy now. They simply want you to engage and click through to another page. In this example of a lead capture page from the folks at digitalmarketer.com, they're providing a free Facebook ad template library in return for your first name, last name, email, and company. So the visitor's requesting content from the brand, and they're willing to provide their contact info because the value of the content is sufficiently higher than what they have to give, and this makes it a valuable trade. And finally, here's an example of a sales page. This company is called Hustle Case, and they sell whiteboards that attach to your laptop case. You can clearly see that the main call to action on the page is the buy now, and when clicked, it directs you through to their checkout process. Now keep in mind that most sales pages are broken up over several steps. You often will just see a button like this on the first step, and then you'll progress through what's called the checkout funnel, where you'll produce your contact information, maybe you'll answer some shipping information questions, you'll put in your payment info, and eventually the sale is made. It rarely takes place all on one page. It's broken up over multiple steps. Well, that brings us to the end of this video. Now, in the next part, we're going to look at another foundational principle called the OAT formula. So stay tuned.